Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Luke Grimes breaks silence on Yellowstone dad Kevin Costner's exit ahead of final season. Luke Grimes has given his take on Yellowstone's patriarch Kevin Costner making his exit, leaving John Dutton's story unfinished. Case Dutton star Luke Grimes is behind the youngest of the powerful family, whose loyalties have been tested due to his marriage to Broken Rock Indian Reservation resident Monica Long, played by Kelsey Asbill. Having been in the Paramount Network drama from the very beginning, Luke will be back for the second half of Season 5, which will be the show's final outing. But not everyone is expected to return, with Kevin announcing earlier this year that he would be taking a step back from the show. This was due to scheduling conflicts with his own upcoming film Horizon, an American saga which has been in the works for decades. Months after the news broke of Kevin's departure from the show, his on-screen son Luke has finally given his take on the situation. The star noted that while it was disappointing the John Dutton star left earlier than anticipated, he understands where the 69-year-old is coming from. He commented how Kevin had become busy with passion projects, and in particular Horizon, an American saga which comes out in June. Luke told The Independent, "Whatever happened there is unfortunate if it's changed anything about how the show was going to unfold. Nevertheless," he added, "at a certain point you gotta do what you gotta do, man," he added. "You gotta do what you love." Yellowstone creator Taylor Sheridan previously told The Hollywood Reporter that he was disappointed by Kevin's decision to leave, but stated it hadn't altered his opinion of the star as an actor. "I've never had an issue with Kevin that he and I couldn't work out on the phone," Sheridan said. "But once lawyers get involved, then people don't get to talk to each other and start saying things that aren't true and attempt to shift blame based on how the press or public seem to be reacting. He took a lot of this on the chin, and I don't know that anyone deserves it. His movie seems to be a great priority to him, and he wants to shift focus. I sure hope the movie is worth it, and that it's a good one." Despite his departure from the show, it seems that Kevin may be interested in returning to the hit Western series for the final lot of episodes after all. He told Entertainment Tonight, "I've loved making that series. I've made 5 seasons of it. Maybe this will circle back to me. If it does and I feel really comfortable with it, I'd love to do it." So is John Dutton's story going to be concluded after all following Kevin's U-turn? Luke Grimes breaks silence on Kevin Costner's exit ahead of Yellowstone's final season. It was a crisp Montana morning, the kind that seemed pulled straight from the Yellowstone set. Luke Grimes sat on the porch of his cabin, a steaming mug of coffee in hand, staring out at the horizon. The early light bathed the landscape in hues of gold, reminiscent of the Dutton Ranch's sprawling vistas. This was the kind of morning where reflection came easy, and today the weight of his thoughts felt heavier than usual. The buzz surrounding the final season of Yellowstone had reached a fever pitch. Fans speculated endlessly about how the show would wrap up its epic saga of power, betrayal, and family. But the spotlight had shifted dramatically after the announcement that Kevin Costner, the iconic patriarch of the Dutton clan, would not return. "It's a strange thing," Luke began, his voice carrying a mix of admiration and melancholy as he spoke to the small group of reporters gathered for the interview. "Working with Kevin has been one of the highlights of my career. To think about finishing this story without him feels surreal." For Luke, Costner was more than just a co-star. From the moment they shared their first scene, Kevin had embodied John Dutton with such gravitas and authenticity that it set the tone for the entire series. Luke vividly remembered his audition, a nerve-wracking experience heightened by the knowledge that Costner himself would be involved in selecting the cast. "When I found out I'd gotten the role of Case," Luke shared, "I was ecstatic, but I was also terrified. Kevin has this aura about him. He's a legend, and stepping onto the set with him for the first time felt like stepping into another world. But he was always so generous, always willing to share his wisdom." As the seasons unfolded, the bond between John and Case Dutton deepened, mirroring the camaraderie between the actors. "There were times when it felt like life imitated art," Luke admitted. "Kevin and I would have these long talks about family, legacy, and the sacrifices people make for the ones they love. Those conversations informed a lot of what you see between John and Case on screen." But behind the scenes, tensions had reportedly brewed for some time. Rumors of creative differences and scheduling conflicts had circulated for months before the official announcement of Costner's departure. Luke chose his words carefully, acknowledging the elephant in the room while steering clear of controversy. "Look, things happen in this industry. It's a collaborative process, and sometimes that means people have different visions for how a story should be told. What I can say is that Kevin's contribution to Yellowstone is immeasurable. He brought John Dutton to life in a way that no one else could, and the show wouldn't be what it is without him." The final season promised to be an emotional farewell, not just to the characters but to the cast and crew who had become a family over the years. For Luke, the absence of Costner loomed large. "I think we all feel the weight of this season," he said. "It's the end of an era, and there's a responsibility to do justice to these characters and this story." Luke paused, letting the gravity of his words sink in. It's hard to imagine the ranch without John Dutton. He's the cornerstone of everything, but at the same time, life moves on. Case and the rest of the family will have to find their way forward, just like we all do when someone we love steps away. He leaned back in his chair, a wistful smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Kevin used to say something that stuck with me: the land endures." It's a simple phrase, but it carries so much truth. The Duttons are part of something bigger than themselves. And as much as this show is about them, it's also about the land, the legacy, and the fight to preserve it. The conversation shifted to Luke's own journey as Case, a character who had evolved from a reluctant rancher to a man torn between two worlds. Case's journey has always been about finding peace, Luke reflected. He's struggled with his identity, his place in the family, and his role as a father and husband. This final season is going to push him to his limits. Without John there, Case will have to step up in ways he never expected. Luke hinted at a season filled with high stakes and emotional reckonings. Every character is going to be tested. The Duttons are at a crossroads, and the decisions they make will determine their legacy. It's not going to be easy, but that's what makes the story so compelling. As the interview wound down, Luke grew introspective. "One of the things I'll miss most about working with Kevin is the sense of history he brings. He's a storyteller in every sense of the word, and he has this ability to make you feel the weight of the moment. I've learned so much from him, not just as an actor but as a person." He glanced out at the horizon again, the rugged beauty of the landscape mirroring the resilience of the Dutton family. "The thing about Yellowstone is that it's never been about easy answers or tidy endings. It's messy, it's raw, and it's real. And I think that's why people connect with it. This final season is going to honor that spirit. It's going to be a farewell worthy of the legacy we've built." As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Luke stood, signaling the end of the interview. He had a long day of filming ahead, and the weight of saying goodbye to Yellowstone was palpable. But as he walked back into the cabin, he carried with him the lessons he'd learned from Costner and the knowledge that, much like the Duttons' land, the story would endure. For fans of the show, Luke's words offered a glimpse into the heart of Yellowstone. It was a reminder that even as one chapter closes, the legacy of the Duttons, and the people who brought them to life, would remain etched in television history. Would you like this expanded further with specific scenes or themes?